What's up, people? What's up, people? It's your boy MMTK back again with another episode of The Morning Tonic. This is where we talk about the latest and greatest in Stadia news, gaming, and opinion. Or community and opinion, excuse me. Ooh. Anyway, so you see on the screen a tweet that I made about a new version of Batman Arkham Knight, the critically acclaimed game from the Batman series. That's now available on AT&T's new cloud game streaming service that's powered by Stadia. Yeah, that made some buzz. But I want to talk about something that made a little bit more buzz that's connected to all this. And that's GFN's new service tier. Now, GFN Geforce now is NVIDIA's cloud gaming service. And in its current configuration, it allows gamers to play up to 1200p if you're on a PC, up to 1200p, up to 120 frames per second, right? They're going to bring out new hardware that'll raise that to 1440p, 120 frames per second. And they're also boasting that there's going to be new lower latency that will rival dedicated hardware. So we'll have to see. But here's what happened. On the heels of that announcement, which was on the heels of Stadia gamers in particular waking up and realizing that Riders Republic was once again another AAA big ticket game that's locked at 30 frames per second on the platform, and they're realizing this recent phenomenon of that happening. They hear this from GFN, and it was at the right time. You know what I'm saying? And even though what we're seeing for the most part, from what we understand, is an upgrade of 240p, from 1200 to 1440p for GFN. We don't know what the stream quality is going to look like and all. Even though we don't know that, it's still enough to entice gamers who are frustrated. And that's understandable. And again, for those that aren't frustrated, or for the holders of these platforms, I don't think in our discussion or in the platform holders planning, I don't think this is something that you want to sweep under the rug. You don't want to sweep it under the rug because the people that this is enticing is your hardcore gamer. Your hardcore gamer is your podcaster, your streamer, or your general game talking head all over social media. And if what they're doing is if they're saying, hey, look, I made the leap, and you're starting to see this happen in droves as far as that wing is concerned. I made the leap. And they're putting more and more attention on this, and it's looking good. That might convince people in little drips here and there to divert their attention and, more importantly, their dollars from your platform to there. So, again, this is not something that needs to be swept under the rug. I think it should be talked about. And, of course, we have the tough conversations here, even when it's tough on Stadia. With that being said, I think another underlying tough conversation for gamers is to have, which I'm going to illustrate here, is did we inadvertently allow a certain group that is really guilty here on the disappointment? They're at the core of the disappointment that is having a lot of those hardcore gamers look elsewhere. Did we just give them a golden parachute? Did we provide a scenario where they, got away with murder, so to speak? What am I talking about? Well, let me show you. This, again, is a screenshot from the Batman Arkham game that's powered by Stadia. The graphic options this is. And look at that. These are all the graphic options that you have for the game. Now, granted, it's locked at 1080p, but this is the best looking 1080p that I've seen on a streaming service to date, including Stadia. Why? Because of these options. I got to crank them up. Look at that. Now, for those of you that are seeing this, you might be thinking, well, Stadia must have did something special with the AT&T. No, I don't think so. All Stadia did was provide the tool set. I don't see anything special here. But look, it's running, as far as its core components, it's running off the same Radeon Pro 340 GPU, the same GPU that we're using in our Stadia experience, right? And it appears that all that happened was whoever worked on this port just optimized it. Just optimized the hell out of it. Right? So here's what I gather. And here's what you can gather from all this. Is that whoever worked on this port with AT&T, which was likely Warner Brothers or somebody affiliated to Warner Brothers, they said, look, we gotta make impressions with this game. Here, let's pull out the full potential of this platform. And they did it. And they got a fantastic result. It's 60 frames per second. I even was doing the damn test, and it was registering at 72 frames per second for me. Sometimes it hit 100. I did the benchmark test. It was crazy. I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, we also got to take into consideration that AT&T and Warner Brothers, I believe they're all owned by the same entity, I believe. I think, was it AT&T that owned Warner Brothers, or Warner Brothers owned AT&T, whatever the case may be. So they worked in tandem, hand in hand, where AT&T put out the expectations. And of course, because they're the same company, they said, look, we cannot disappoint. So Warner Brothers went and, whoever was affiliated, went and ported the game over, because this is their service. This got their name on it, right? It's not like that with Stadia. Just to get people to do this, Stadia had to pay developers an upfront fee, just for them to even to negotiate about the game, about bringing the game over. And as we've seen, developers, for the most part, have not put this type of love into the games. Or I won't say for the most part, not at all. I don't see these options nowhere else. So what Stadia did is they created a platform that would deliver on the certain expectations that you have. And they provided that platform, and they provided an opportunity for developers to come to that platform and do stuff like this. And what did the developers do? They took the bag and they ran off, and they did nothing nowhere near like this. Now, Stadia, as the platform provider, they don't have a lot of leverage. They don't have a lot of gamers at the moment. So all they can do is offer money, the most fathomable and reasonable amount of money for people to put games on the platform. But they can't just have an open checkbook. They can't be paying Ubisoft $100 million to port Far Cry 6 over and make it 60 frames per second the way that they could and upscale 1440p. They can't do this. Not fathomable. Not for a 1% business. You have a budget still. Just because you have endless money, you don't keep your investors by saying, oh, we got endless money and we're going to throw it all in here. Yay! You don't do that. Microsoft didn't do that. Microsoft had to have deals that made them money. Minecraft, Havoc, and all their other deals. When that started bringing in the money, then the checkbook started opening up. The same applies with Stadia and doing these backdoor deals with AT&T and so forth. So until that money gets there, they ain't writing out the super, super, super fat, gorgeous checks that y'all think it don't work like that. So right now what you got to do is you got to have devs that are willing to, get money and get paid and get compensated, but not get greedy and say, look, this is for a greater cause. This is for the betterment of the gaming community that we love. That and this will benefit and push gaming forward for the future. So let's get paid, let's get compensated for what we're doing, but we ain't got to get greedy because it's not going to serve us in the long run. And they're not thinking like that. They're being greedy. They're taking the bag and they're saying, all right, they're dapping their finger on the tongue and tapping whatever for a little bit and saying, here's what you get. Now, yes, there's been situations where Stadia has had poor quality control. I'm not saying that. But for the most part, that's not what it looks like. It looks like what's going on with what happened with Xbox One X, where games were playable and they were, okay, but they really didn't make the box sing like they should have, because Xbox's player base was smaller than PlayStation 4's, and that's where they wanted to put their focus. This, I think, is more egregious because Stadia is paying you up front to do this, and you're just taking the bag and you're sliding gamers. And here's what's happened. The whole duration of this is going on, we've kept the conversation 99% on Stadia. And I've been guilty of it here and there sometimes too, because and Stadia creates that atmosphere by them not opening their damn mouth sometimes. And I'm not saying Stadia's supposed to come out and say, it's our dev's fault, it's our partner's fault, because the partners would leave. But they make the big money. They got to be savvy enough to introduce this in some shape, form, or fashion. But being that they're not, I am. I'm telling you. Even though this is an older title, I get it. But it still shows that we shouldn't be getting 1080p 30 games. That we can get 1440p 60 across the board. We can get it. Developers just ain't optimizing for that purpose. And then they're going about their business. And because Stadia is really not at a point to where they can sit there and say, well, you can't bring that AAA game here. They're taking it. And we kind of contributed towards that dynamic. So as equally important as it is to not slight the concerns of the hardcore gamer, I think we as the gaming community, we got to get better and wiser at the discussions that we have. Because when we don't, all we're doing is cutting off our nose to spite our face. That's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.